reader is Z.M. Wise. Uh-oh. Can I got a bit of black out here?
Or Blues Brothers, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, something like that. Anybody got a saxophone?
Can you fake it? All right. First of all, Mr. Peak, that was brilliant. Your work was really brilliant. I really enjoyed it very much. Another hand for him. I'd like to start out with an excerpt from an epic I recently finished. It's entitled Rivers. Rivers tell us the secrets that lie beneath our most shallow verdicts. They are used for a delightful choir of blowing leaves hovering in the autumn air. Wooden debris float gently while thinking of utopia's left hand. To civilization, to comrades young and old, to the kisses of life and a glorious night on the river. Rivers are wandering minds that share the same concept. All but one shall pass humanity and discover spirituality. My dearest ally, the river. Rivers contain our only refreshing hope of surviving a morbid prophecy. If only your distraction feelings could be set aside for the younger generation. They have ways of innocence to spread to this dimly lit world. Let their oblivious eagerness shine on our faces of selfishness. We can try to keep quiet. We should all be so calm. We can only be as calm as a river. And this is a tribute to my grandfather. It's called Fredrick's Silhouette. Grandpa, is that your unmistakable silhouette hanging over my bed? Your halo and wings fit perfectly like a permanent glove. You left behind such a legacy, still being the most hilarious man on the face of this earth. Like Red Skelton, you always left a chuckle in each of our hearts. A brilliant writer who taught me everything he knew. Fred Weiss, the ideal, perfect man, husband, poet, father, grandfather, son, teacher, and friend. Grandpa, I shall see you when we reach the heaven's moon. And I'd like to end this with a little beat poem, and it's called I Bleed Ink. I bleed the ink of sacrificial controversy, like the city lights incident more than half a century ago. And I bleed the ink of righteous followers that stay dedicated to their faith. I bleed the ink of my own true self, a poet at heart and of sound mind. Take my hand and let the brain create ideas. And I bleed the ink of Ginsberg, Bolin, Morrison, and Stepanek, for their styles fill my mind cup to the brim. I bleed the ink of inspiration, the heir to numerous poetic thrones and word geniuses. And I bleed the ink of 1,000 nations, candid countries with secular states. And I bleed the ink of dearest grandfather Fred, for without his glorious teachings, none of this would be possible. And I bleed the ink of my forefathers who yearned to weave ancient sonnets together. I bleed the ink of every thirsty star begging for a rain shower. And I bleed the ink of empty pens, mighty swords belonging to legendary poets. And I bleed the ink of all four seasons. One by one they reveal to me their unique qualities like new brides. And I bleed the ink of past romantics. I was born hopeless and shall die hopeless. I bleed the ink of sensitive and shy men. I can still weep and represent the decent side of my gender. And I bleed the ink of family crises, amalgamate and be free of storm worries. I bleed the ink of God's left hand, for it has guided my own left hand as I write my own 10 Commandments. And I bleed the ink of the human love heart. Beat, beat the passion. Thank you very much.
Howard Nolan want to read?
No.
So these slashes are actually, no. Okay. Okay, we'll definitely have case yes.